Hi, it is about 1 o'clock in the morning, and I had a fire ceremony earlier. I did post a video on that, and just wanted to show you the space again. This is a little garden space up on the farm here, and it's a beautiful space. I'm hoping we'll see the moon at some point. She's hiding behind the clouds there. So, sorry for the spotlight there. Got to keep it on. Sometimes there's some snakes here. So tonight, or this morning for that matter, I want to talk about my morning meditation and reflection. So you'll see I have posted some pictures of my afternoon walk on the beach, and the theme this morning in my meditation was about reflection, and it came up on the beach today when I took those beautiful pictures. The water just made a nice foam on the sand so that I could capture the reflection of the sunset on the beach as well. Beautiful pictures. And I had a lot of time to think about tonight's fire ceremony firstly, and talking about reflection. So, you know, there's a silence that one needs to get to reflect. A silence that very few people know. We have this habit of believing that we are from inside looking at the world out there. And yet that's not the case. It is actually the world outside folding into us, and we're experiencing that from the inside through all our senses. Think of it this way. There she is, peeking through the clouds there. Beautiful. Supermoon coming up next week, Wednesday. I'll be having another fire. Maybe I'll make a video on the supermoon, about the energies coming. You know, the sun is in Scorpio. That's some hectic energy, especially for Scorpios. And that's going to be kind of like a fire, purifying, cleansing out all the stuff that's not supposed to be there, all the relevant truths that's not supposed to be there, beliefs, you know, false beliefs. And well, mostly for everyone, the energy is in that space. Don't fear it. It's good. But especially Scorpios, people that have birthdays this time of the year, just let it go. Just let it burn through all of it. Let it purify. Let it cleanse. You know, I'm going to talk a little bit about the reflection, and you'll understand why. So, you know, to really find yourself and this soul, I'm not talking about the ego, I'm talking about the observer, the real soul inside there observing through these senses, not the ego. Who is that? Who's doing the looking? Who's doing the searching? You're searching for something, for yourself. And what you're actually doing is you are searching for the one that's doing the searching. How funny is that? You're not missing. You actually are looking for the one that's doing the looking. Let me try and explain. You know, today on the beach, there was those reflections. And this morning in my meditation, I had it as well. Reflection was the theme of the day, so it was in my head the whole day. And it's like a mirror, you know. When you look at a mirror, what do you see? It's kind of like I'm looking at myself right in the screen here where I'm recording. It can only show what I show it. It can only show what's really there. You know, a mirror, when it reflects you, it can only reflect what it sees. The universe out there, life, is but a reflection of who you are. You see it through your filters. But behind those filters is the real you. If you can only get rid of this, get rid of the filters, get rid of the ego, you can really truly see yourself and find yourself. But that's very difficult, because how do you see yourself? The eyes cannot see themselves, can it? A knife cannot cut itself. There's a lot of things that we don't know subconsciously that's in here, that we don't even know that we know it. And then there's things that we don't know, that we didn't know, that we don't know it. Does a fish know that it's wet? No, it's just in the water. It just is. So, she's hiding again. I'll just swap the phone around there every now and then, showing you guys a bit of the fire so you don't have to look into my face all the time. So, the world out there is a reflection of you. It is not what you think it is. Because then there's 8 billion different worlds that 8 billion different people in this planet perceive. The world just is. Not what we think it is. And it can only reflect you. If you look at this fire, what do you see? Everybody will have a different explanation. And that explanation reflects who you are. Look at those flowers. Look at the moon. Look at me. What do you see? Now, a lot of you, when I ask that specific question, will make assumptions. You will look at the beard, you'll look at the holes in my ears, which you don't know where it came from. It was actually stuck in there and stretched. Look at my long hair. I used to be in the military. I used to be clean cut till a couple of years ago that I decided I was going to get rid of things that was placed on me, things that was drilled into me. Still struggling with some stuff in my mind though, because I was brainwashed to think in a certain way, especially when it comes to fear and trauma. I don't experience that physically like most people do. It just goes and sits in a little hole there somewhere, and then it influences me from there. And then I got to deal with it at some other point. Luckily, over many years, somebody helped me and actually diagnosed PTSD, and I could start working through it and actually start sleeping. Well, sometimes. Lately I've been going a night or two and then sleep for a night. My head's just too busy. There's too many things keeping me up that I don't know what it is. But anyways, let's not go down that road. I'll make a video about that at some point. Let's stick to reflection. So this world that reflects us, it's not what we think it is. This world just is. And it's not us looking at the world out there. We think that everything happens from in here. And we look at the world out there and that's what it is. Where actually, this vessel is just there for experience. And the world is actually pouring into this. Like my eyes seeing this fire. The fire does not know that it's seen. I feel the heat. The fire does not know that it's hot. Without me here, the fire will just be fire, which it is in any case. The moon does not know how far it is from me, yet to me it seems quite distant. I'm the one determining the distance. I'm the one determining the beauty. I'm the one feeling the heat of the fire, smelling the smoke, hearing the crackle of the wood, seeing the flames dance. I'm that experience. But who is having that experience? Inside there somewhere is something. And what you can see when you try to see yourself is only reflections. Have you ever tried seeing yourself, really seeing yourself? You can't, right? Because you see yourself through filters. Have you ever tried seeing someone else? No. When you do it with your brain and with your normal senses, you cannot see a person for real. You cannot see your real self. You see reflections of everything in their thoughts and people behind all their masks. But when you see a soul, you've got to see a soul from your own soul. And that is quite a different experience. You cannot do that through this. You cannot feel someone by touch. You feel them in a different experience. You feel the vibration. You cannot see people by looking at them. You can see them from a different point of view, from your third eye, from your sacred spiritual vision. You cannot hear people when you listen to them. You can hear people when you listen to what they're not saying. You can listen to what's not said in silence. Let's talk about that silence a little bit, That deep down silence, how do you get to that? People like to think that when you meditate, you got to go to that point where you are silent and everything just disappears. That's only half of it. There's a step that you got to take beyond that, where you go into the realm of souls, where you feel without a body. You can see, where you can touch, you can smell, you can hear, you can experience in a different way, like an out-of-body experience. I had that years ago by had a death experience. So I'm going to go into that as well, maybe in another video. But I had an out-of-body experience. And I had an experience of really going into this other realm of existence. And what's happened is, it's kind of when you've been there, you've got like 1 foot there and 1 foot here. It's weird. You can, at a flick of your fingers, you can be there and be back. And I guess that's why, you know, I've always had this intuition as a child, but since that past the military, I've had this different sense. And it's because I'm aware of both realms and areas of existence at the same time. I can meet a person for a few seconds and then see the true them. Not their filters. You get to know people over time. And everybody is an actor in their own right in this circus we call life, or the world as it is. But if you look beyond that, and you look at the person, the actor, not the role they're playing, then you see the true soul. You know, let me just add some wood here to this fire, otherwise we're going to run out of flames. There we go. Maybe I should put on some bigger ones. 1 or 2 big logs. So, where were we? Oh yeah, okay, good. So, when we look at ourselves, you know, most people would think and say that they are broken. You know, some of you might have seen my videos in September about breaking habits, and it was to break the habit of smoking, and I kind of did. Don't smoke because it's a habit anymore. I smoke it because I like it. It is probably the most unhealthy thing I'm doing. I am really getting into health with eating as much as I can, and trying to just get my health back in shape. I have some health issues, but that's going to be sorted out soon. I'm going to sort it out here first, but let's get back on track. Let's talk about reflection. So, people, when they look at themselves, they've got all these ideas, you know, including me. We tend to forget sometimes, and then we remember again. You think that you are broken. You think that there's something wrong with you, and you have to heal, or you have to rise up into something, or you have to awaken. That's part true, but that's for the body and for the ego and for the mind. Because the soul, the real you behind all of this, cannot be broken. You cannot be sick. You cannot have fear. All of that is projected onto you through this, which is 90% or more not you, because you didn't even put it there. You didn't decide. Since you were a child, your parents told you who you were, and then your teachers, and then your friends. And all this time we look at everything around us, and We try and reflect from that who we are, and then we try and build that, and we try and edit it, we try and change it the way that we like it. And yet, in the end, everything out there is what it is. We think that the world and the universe is happening to us. No, it's not. It's happening with you. You're not broken. There's nothing wrong with you. You're not sleeping. So you don't need to awake. You just need to remember. But you need to remember in a different place. You need to get to your soul. You need to remember in silence. You need to remember at a place where sound and everything, chaos, everything dies down. Now that's not possible because it's all around us. But do you know that there's silence in everything? I'm talking about not just any silence, I'm talking about this silence. There's a silence out there which is the source of all sound and all noise. That silence, that nothingness, that place of emptiness, that is actually everything. That is the place that holds all the stars. That nothingness out there. There's nothing, you know. And even that nothing, when you look at it scientifically, the small little atoms and things. But even in there, there's nothing that holds that. I always try and explain it to people by looking at something that's the most dense thing I think I know of and that we know of. I don't know if there's something more dense. You know, there probably are, but most of it's theories. I'm talking about stuff that we really know. Let's look at a diamond. A diamond is one of the most dense things we know of. And it's because of the way that the carbons are arranged like little soldiers, so close to each other that it is so dense that you can see through it. It is so hard. Yet when we take the little atoms and little pieces inside of a diamond and we scale it, we expand, we blow it up, so that we get one of those little atoms in there, the size of a basketball. That's quite a big scale. But if we do that in the most dense thing, one of the most dense things that we know, then the space between one atom and the next atom, if we blow it up like that, is about 15 kilometers. You probably won't even see the other one. And the electrons and those things that fly around the atom, they're about the size of mosquitoes. Now between this atom and the next one, there's a space where these mosquitoes fly, of nothingness. Well, that's what we know now. There might be even smaller things there in existence. But still, once you can name something, then it sits in nothing. You know, if there's two things, then there's two things. Even if they're part of one thing, it's two things. Then between them, there's got to be a space. Even like an atom has the outer kernel and the wound, and it's got the core, and between those, there's a space. What separates it? Because it's two things. It's part of one thing. Even that little space is nothing. So you see how far you got to go to understand nothing. You got to be really, really, really fucking amazingly clever to understand nothing. Now that nothing, that's still something because it can be named. That nothing is what holds everything. That nothing is creation. That's the creator. But it's also where we exist. If you look at the yin-yang, you know, it's got that little line in between that separates the two sides. That line is something, right? It's that little line. It separates whichever color. Let's use black and white. That's what they usually do, the yin-yang. Now, if we remove the two colors, we move them away from each other. Where's the line? Is it there? Yet, we need something to separate two things from each other. But when you separate them, you can't define that line. That line is nothing, yet it is there. That's where your soul is exactly. Within you. Once you look inside and you find nothing, that's your soul. It's nothing, but it's also something. It's the operator behind everything. It's something you cannot define. And that's why we try and look for that all our lives. And people don't find it because they look for something while they have to look for nothing. But it's not just any nothing. It's a nothing you can only find in silence. You know, in the most chaotic chaos of sounds, where it sounds to you like there's just no quietness, if you still your mind into the right frequency, now frequency is the amount of pulses per minute or cycles, you know, to easily try and explain it. I don't want to get too scientific. But even that, between that, if you go into splits of split seconds, there's silence there between the one and the next one. Between every note, even if it sounds like somebody's playing this beautiful song on a piano, between notes, there's silence. You maybe can't pick it up. It doesn't sound like that because it sounds like a continuous sound. But there's actually way more silence in music and in chaos and in noise than anything else. Because silence is that nothingness, and there's way more nothingness in this universe than anything else. If you take everything out there, all the stars, all the galaxies, everything, and we squash it into our hand, what's left is an enormous amount, endless nothingness. And yet that is something. So how do we look at ourselves and to find ourselves when we look into this mirror? You know, this mirror, when you look into a mirror, what does it show you? Mirror can only show you what it sees, like that reflection in the pictures I took. You'll see it's also on my Facebook. It can only reflect what's out there in the sunset. It cannot reflect anything else. Yet, when I go there tomorrow, it doesn't keep that. You see, because a mirror, unlike your mind, a mirror only reflects what it sees, but once you move, it's gone. It doesn't keep the image. A mirror is not judging, cannot judge, only shows you what's there. It doesn't keep. A mirror doesn't see a specific color. And once everything is away from it, the mirror just is. It's just nothing. So you see, if you can get your mind to be like that, like a mirror, so that things can pass through your mind like sunlight will pass through a window. Just let it pass through, because we cannot stop experiences. But we can let things pass through. We shouldn't keep them. You should keep what's real. But unfortunately, people don't do that. They keep these things like a little scrapbook up here, you know, all their wounds and all their hurt and all their anger. They write everything up there, and then they bleed for how long, you know, and they suffer. Suffering is inevitable in this life, but prolonged suffering, that's a choice. You know, you can forget for a little while, but then you have to remember the mirror. Look out there and just sit and be still and be silent, and you will realize that it all goes away. And once you try to stop seeing and just be, stop listening, just be, stop smelling, feeling, stop the experience of the body, and just be. You know, a lot of people ask the question, who am I? When you get to that silence, that's you. As soon as you try and answer, who am I? Then the mind gets in the way. The ego. Then you answer in a way of who you want to be, not who you truly are. You answer from behind a mask. You answer in judgment. You answer through pushing other people away, pulling them closer. You know, there's such a lot of things we do to fit in and to be something. Study, how many degrees? I've studied myself. And, you know, some of the things that I've learned in school and over the years, a lot of it I'm trying to forget. I'll probably try the rest of my life to forget it. I'm trying to unlearn it because it's the biggest bullshit. You know, I was taught these things for truth, and then later on, when I started really seeing life and experiencing things from a different point of view, from outside myself, because that's where you get, when you get to that silence and you truly see your soul, you can move out of your body. Like I said earlier, that out-of-body experience, where you can move out of your body, experience you from outside, without any feelings, without any thoughts, and you cannot explain that experience. You have to feel it. It's inexplainable because it is different from any experience here. You can only really explain any experience that you have through this body, in this body, because that's how we experience things. But once you go out of this body and see and feel yourself from outside of this body and see other souls when you're out of this body, disconnect from this body, you can't explain that. You understand it. It's like your whole being just feels it and sees it like differently, like I said. But you can't explain it in words because there's no explanation, because all the explanations we have in this world is from feeling, really feeling. Just going to keep it there on the moon a bit. You know, once we remove these things, like I said earlier on, this fire does not know it's hot. I feel it and therefore it's hot. A rock isn't really hard unless you touch it. The moon isn't bright unless you see it. It isn't at a distance unless I decide how far it is from where I'm sitting in my chair. It's all about the experience in the body. And to really find the soul, we need to get to silence. Real, deep silence. You know, you create what you experience here. You participate in this universe. Without you sitting here, there's no experience. The moon does not experience itself. The fire does not feel its own heat. The rock doesn't know it's hard, just like the knife cannot cut itself. The observer cannot observe itself from inside this body. Your eyes cannot see itself from inside this body. You got to move out of it. Now, at which point does the observer stop and the observation begins? Because between the two, there is that silence that I'm talking about. Right there, that little line of the yin-yang, that little place where the seer stops seeing and the seeing begins, where the observer stops and the observation begins, where the feeling stops and the actual heat begins. Where's that space, that thin line that's not in existence? That's where your soul is. And if you can stop there for a glimpse, you'll see it. And once you've been there, you will always be going there. That is total awareness. People talk so easily about awareness and about how other people are not aware and because they're not present. I don't think there's a lot of people that really understand awareness. Awareness doesn't mean the other person sits next to you and they're so aware that they can just know everything you're not saying and that you're not, expressing. They have to have this special awareness now to think that and smell that and feel that. Even though they're not in your body, they don't have your thoughts. You can really, if you really try hard, you can be aware a little bit when people of their energy, but then you got to know, you got to be with them for some time and really get to know them. The only thing you can really be aware of, really truly be aware of, is if you have that silence and your soul can be aware of their soul, that awareness in that silence. The thing is that over there, that awareness, that's not aware of the other person's feelings. It's not aware of what they're not saying. That's just an awareness that you cannot describe. It's in another realm. It's in another existence where the souls, where their energy are in the soul realm. And it doesn't mean you're not aware if you haven't picked up on their sadness or their worries or their whatever. People get so, what's the word I'm looking for? People get so pissed off with other people because, in relationships, because you weren't aware of how she was feeling, or she wasn't aware of how you were feeling, or, whatever. This bullshit we play out behind our masks. Where in fact, we need to be so aware of each other that we don't need to touch, we don't need to speak. We can just be together in silence, in total bliss, on a soul level. That's real deep connection. Not sitting there with all your thoughts and wanting the other person to do things, and if they don't, you don't like it. That's conditions, that's conditional. Once you go there, you'll never get it right, because every person is different up here and every person has got their own conditions. If you can't get past that, you'll never have unconditional relationships. It has to be on a soul level. Look at the beautiful energy coming from the moon. Now again, that is my experience. And in the distance, you can hear the peacock scream. Sorry, I'm having I think I've got some coffee here somewhere. Cheers. Homebrewed coffee. We roast our own beans, ground them, and I just brewed a pot before I came and sit here. So, like I said, without you here, there's nothing. The world shapes and reacts to the shape of your mind. Whatever is in your mind and your thoughts, that is what the world will be for you. And that is how you also see others. You know, the shape of your mind is how you see people, through assuming. You know, you're never right unless you sit with a person and you ask them, and they really truthfully from their heart can tell you in total honesty who they are. Then it's still not 100% because it's still how you perceive what they say. Even in vocabulary. You know, you can ask two different people to explain to you in their own words the meaning of a certain word, and you'll get different explanations. Even if it's just a little bit different, you'll get a little bit of difference. Now, imagine how many words are in a small, little, short conversation, and how far somebody can be off in understanding what you exactly meant when you said something. But if you can connect on soul level, and you get this out of the way, these filters, that's a total different experience. Like I said, that's something you cannot explain. You can try and explain it to people, but you really can't. If you've met somebody that's gone through a out-of-body experience, like I've done, and you truly meet someone that has also had the same experience, and you try and talk to them about it, and they also can't explain it, but and you ask them, where's that place? How can we define that place that you go? And they just have this look in their eyes. You know, the eyes are the windows to the soul. And if you just look into someone's eyes, you can see that they've been there. And I've met such people before, and they just say, you know, that place, and you have this little smile on your face and this look in your eye, and then they understand and you understand, because it's the same place. It's inexplainable. You can't explain it. And in that place, if two souls meet, or three souls, or your friends, or your relationships, if you can meet in that place, your whole life's going to change. You're going to stop seeing everything from inside here and trying to experience everything out there, and realize that you're part of this whole experience, that it's not happening to you, it's happening with you, that you are part of this whole experience. Once you can get from that point where you can just disconnect from all of this, you will truly experience life, and everything around you will change. You'll stop to see this race in the world and have all these things people are chasing towards. You'll sit back like a spectator and watch the circus unfold. It doesn't mean you're not a part of it. It happens with you, not to you. But once you can get to that silence and you can understand everything, that's quite different. The fear goes away, the noise goes away, the greed, the lust, all these things that you have goes away because you connect on a different level. Totally different level. You experience everything way differently. The mirror out there only shows you what it sees. You know, the monks say that the highest human, or if it's not that there's hierarchy. You know, I always try and say that, you know, when you like people say awaken or whatever they want to call it, I say remembering, because you sort of rather go back to your original self. You remember your soul that came here, you know, the one that was 5 years old, because that's still the same soul inside here, and I'm 49 years old. It hasn't changed a bit. Your soul doesn't know age, doesn't know color, doesn't know any of these things. You're still the same person that was 5 years old. It's this that gets in the way, and it gets worse when you get older. At some point, you've got to try and get back to who you were as a child. Get away from those fears, get away from, you know, all this shit up here, because it's just a lot of shit up here. Really think about it. You know, I'm not trying to piss anyone off, because a lot of people have such a lot of beliefs. But I mean, fuck. Beliefs are only meant for this world, this experience. Once you get past that and get to a point where you can be like the mirror, you know, experience everything, but don't keep it. Go for the next experience. Don't put yourself in a box. You know, truth is truth. You can believe that. Facts don't ever change. And gravity is gravity. Don't forget about gravity. You know, fuck. If you don't believe in gravity, that's also cool. Go jump off a roof and see what happens. You know, gravity doesn't give a fuck. It just does what it does. And once you can get your soul to that level where you stop remembering all the bullshit, you know, stop keeping that scrapbook. Stop writing all the stuff in that little scrapbook of what people do to you and how you judge them and, you know, all this bullshit. You know, yeah, get rid of stuff like I did tonight in the fire ceremony. There was some energies projected onto me with ill intent. Somebody gave me some stuff. And I thought, like, fuck, I'm not keeping this, because I felt the energy in that. And I'm like, I don't want this around me. Nothing against that person. I really like that person. You know, I love that person. But, I mean, I'm not going to take that projected energy onto me from that person's assumptions and the stuff they wrote in there and the things they gave. And I wrote a letter, not giving it to them. I'm just burning the energy, you know. Just alchemizing it, just sending it into the universe. It's alchemizing it and neutralizing it, not sending it back. I actually, with a fire ceremony, sent that person prosperity and love and healing and, you know, trying to open their minds with energy so that they can just look at the mirror and see their own soul and stop the mumbo jumbo, you know, stop the brokenness and the whatever, you know. Just remember who you are, and stop looking, stop thinking that you need to awaken to something or rise up from something, you know. No, just remember who you are. You don't need to do anything. You've been this all along. Once you get into that place where you think you need to heal and recover from brokenness and like whatever, You got to know that that's your mind at work. And it's fine. I'm not saying people shouldn't do that. Most people do that. I'm saying if you truly want to get there and see your soul, and then get away from all the bullshit, which is basically everything up here. You know, myself, I've got a lot of shit up here. So, let me just take a little bit more of my coffee. Do you hear the peacocks screaming? Just going to give my voice a rest for a few seconds. Have some coffee. Light a cigarette. I'll continue the talk just now. Give me a few seconds. Just getting the scratch out of my throat. So, once you can get to that silence, that thin line, and you can let go of control, of judgment, of everything up here. And you can remember that life is not something we're chasing. It's not something we have to win. You know, the rat race out there, the rat race in this world, when you join that, like even if you win, you're still a rat. If you can get past that, get past the control, get past your ego, get past all of that, you will find out that this life, your soul is here to sing a song. And you'll start singing that song. It's a dance. It's a sacred dance. You'll start dancing that sacred dance. And stop trying to win something or be anything. You'll just, in solitude and silence, be nothing. And once you're that, you'll be everything you're supposed to be. If you can just be yourself. And yourself is that nothingness inside you that is actually the real something. You want to find purpose. You got to be silent and find yourself. You got to forget to be able to remember. Like I said earlier on, there's so many things I learned in life, you know, that I'm just trying to unlearn that shit. Because the more sorry, I've got an itchy nose. I'm not picking it. It's just like, the more shit you have in your head, the more difficult it is to remember. You know, the universe has this imprint where you can, if you can get to that silence, you will remember. Your soul will remember. And when you can do that, there will be no judgment on anyone around you. You will be able to be with anyone. It doesn't matter. The most difficult person, you will be able to be with them and sit in discussion with them. And, you know, you won't get angry at things they say. You'll be stoic. Not even stoic, because, I mean, stoicism is not having no feelings. It is just alchemizing those feelings and not really showing them in the body. It's like, it's almost like that. It's like I said earlier on, it's like the sun just passing through the window into the room. your brain will become like that piece of glass. The stuff will just come in and just pass through. You'll hear it, you'll reason, you'll experience all of it, right? But not with your sense. You won't get emotional about things. You'll be so open to everything. You'll be like a mirror. You'll be like, doesn't matter what comes in front of you. You'll just reflect and let go. You won't store it. The mirror doesn't store anything. When you look in the mirror tomorrow, it didn't store the picture from yesterday. I know a lot of us would like that. Who wouldn't want to look 16 again? But like I said, if you look at the real you, the one that was 5 and the one that was 16 and the one that's now 49 or 60 or 91, it's the same one. It's this body that doesn't keep. You know, and a lot of the shit that's going through your filters now that you judge people with, it'll disappear. I mean, you don't judge the same as when you were 16. Well, I don't know. Some people do. Some people stay 16, you know, do a lot of shit. A part of me is still 16, you know. When I was younger in the military, I jumped out of serviceable planes. Now, who in their right fucking mind jumps out of a plane? That's nothing wrong with it. But I'm contemplating to start again, because it's the most beautiful experience to just jump out of that plane and it's just nothing holding you, you know, no strings attached. Until you open the parachute, then hopefully there's a couple of strings attached to keep you from splatting on the ground, becoming one with Earth, you know, with Mother Nature. Not that we're not one, you're all one with Mother Nature, but you're going to be really one with Mother Nature when that happens. But, you know, getting to that point of silence, looking at that mirror and being able to step away. That is what life's about. You will stop being depressed. You'll stop having anxiety attacks. You'll stop feeling broken. Nothing will really get to you. You'll have the experience and you'll let the experience go. It'll pass on to the next experience. And you can have the most beautiful life when you stop doing those things. Stop letting your brain and your ego get in the way. Even just a little bit. A lot of people just get up in the morning and they chase off to work. And, you know, they get back tonight and it's fucking crazy. They don't even do the jobs that they like. You know, I know a few people. My Facebook page has grown a shitload in just a couple of weeks. I think I was like 69 people and I'm now, I don't know, like knows how many followers and whatever. And I don't think it's because I'm great. I just think it's because I'm real, you know. I do these unedited videos. I don't do like all the other content creators, and, you know, Facebook is sending me some fucking emails and telling me I must do this and I must create content like that. And it's like, screw Facebook, man. I'll do whatever I like. I'm not in it to monetize and to whatever. They've switched on my monetization and I can now have people send me stars and fucking, I don't know, whatever. It'll happen if it happens, you know. I'm really not going to promote my page to be somebody to make a shitload of money out of this. I just share this because, you know, I just share these thoughts. It's not that anybody has to take this. I'm just, you know, I've been living in solitude quite some time now. Just see people every now and then. So when it's this quiet, you don't talk a lot. It's really nice to make these videos and just say what's going on in your head and not having conversations all by yourself, with yourself all the time. You know, that's the kind of thing that they put you in the straitjacket for. You talk to yourself all the time. Or to the crew up here, you know, every now and then I got to have a board meeting. Get these guys to get their ducks in a row. Yeah, it's beautiful, the moon out tonight. Just gonna light myself another cigarette and take some coffee. Have a quick few seconds break again while you enjoy the moon. My little fire is dying out. I'm just gonna put some more wood on. A few more sticks. A little big one. So let's try and finish this off. See, this video is already an hour. I doubt a lot of you would even go all this way and listen to everything. So reflection, get your mind to be like a mirror, to reflect these things, and then just let it go. Don't store it in your scrapbook. Let the mirror reflect what's there and let it go. There we go, there's the peacocks again. Let it go. Stop holding on to stuff. Stop holding on to your brokenness, your sadness, your everything. I mean, just stop. Just get to that silence. Get to that place of being nothing. Because right there you are everything. Get to that place of solitude. Real silence. Even in all the chaos and everything going around you, I told you, there's silence in there. You just got to go find it. You got to just see it. When you listen to people, listen to what they're not saying. Listen to the silence. That is true awareness. That is true presence. And that is the true you. And you will experience life way differently, in a way that is unexplainable. You'll do it on a soul level, truly on a soul level. No awareness, no awakeness, no nothing. Just remembering who you always were. You don't need to be anything. You don't need to practice spiritualism and all these things you have to do. Yes, it's good to have some practice for the body and the mind. But getting to that soul level, you don't need to remember anything. once you're there. You need to remember to get there. But once you're there, you don't need this. It's a different remembering that I'm talking about. It's not remembering in your mind. It is on an energy level. It is on a soul level. It is the same one that was 5 years old. It's the same one that's 50, 91. It's the same one that's thousands of years older, in hundreds of different lives and more lives to come. It is that which I'm talking about. When you do your meditation again, and you get to that point of silence, go beyond it. Don't stop there. Most people think that meditation is something that you got to go practice or do, or you've got to learn how to do it. No. Nobody can teach you how to meditate. That's also the biggest bullshit. They can tell you what to do and to get to that silent point, but let me tell you, meditation is something that happens to you. You get to that point, and when you stop trying, stop focusing, it just happens. One day it will just happen. Once you get to that silence, don't stop there. Take one more step and go beyond. And get your soul. And in that, you will experience bliss. You will experience things that you haven't experienced in your whole life before. And yeah, people will look at you and say you're crazy. You've got crazy ideas and things and whatever. So what? Doesn't matter. They still need to remember. Let them be in the rat race. Let them chase their things. They will get to that point or not. But it's the reason I'm making this video. I'm not saying I've arrived at anywhere, because there's no point of arrival. This life is a journey. There's so many things for me to still see and experience in this body with this mind. But I do it from the driver's seat. My soul is in control. And when I do forget sometimes, luckily out there is a universe that is a mirror to me. And I can very quickly see when things are not right. When I experience the flowers differently than I experienced it yesterday, and that means it's me. When I experience a person differently from what I experienced yesterday, it's me. I always say, when you want to look for where the issue are, just look where the emotion is. Where's the emotion? Within you? Okay, then there's the issue. You know? And it's actually not an issue. It's you yourself that's making it an issue. Get to that point where things just pass through like sunlight through a glass. And just be. And with that, I'm going to finish this video, because it's now 1 hour and 8 minutes long. And if you've watched this far, then namaste to you. You must have a great evening. And I hope that something in this video has given something to you. Even if it's just you had to break some time sitting on the toilet and had nothing else to do and watch this video, then great. Then I've achieved something in that. You know, I made a friend on Facebook, and I'm not going to name a name, because, you know, in videos like this, you don't do things like that. But if she watches this video, then she'll know who she is. She's quite the funny one. You know, I always open up her stuff every single day to get my daily dose of dopamine, and she's like very sharp in dishing out jokes and things, and she's also very sharp in taking some, you know. I've dished out some banter as well, and she takes it. So you know, I think we need people like that in our lives. That, you know, I haven't met this person ever before, We just became friends in some way on Facebook. You know? And it probably will stay like that forever, or maybe not. Maybe we'll meet up someday for a coffee, something. I think that if that happens, we're going to piss ourselves, because I think the two of us together will have so much fun. But you know, it's just seeing people. It is so nice to just see people, really, past their filters, past everything, just to truthfully see a soul. So with this, I'm going to say goodbye. And I hope you've taken something from this video, if you've watched this far. And blessings and prosperity and love to you all. Look out for my next video. I'll try and keep that one short. And look out for the pictures of the sunset reflections and the fire ceremony videos out there as well. I will speak to you again soon. I love you. Namaste.